But hello, everybody. This is the weekly Backdrop Design and UX meeting. It's Thursday, October the 7th. Before we start the meeting, I'm going to do what we usually do. I'm going to introduce myself and then go around the room, allowing everyone to do so. So my name is Greg. I'm joining from Greece. And I'm interested in helping move forward many UX and design meetings in the, issues in the queue. I'm going to pass on to Robert.
Robert Lang, bug folder on the internet, coming to you from Altadena, California. And I've been working on various odds and ends, and particularly documentation lately. And I will pass it to Tim.
Hi, my name's Tim Erickson. I'm St. Paul Tim, and yeah, as usual, a bit frazzled right now. Been busy making some videos about Backdrop, and yeah, just keeping busy. So looking forward to talking about priorities for the next release in our dev meeting later today. Joseph.
Hi, I'm Joseph. I'm a backend developer from Las Vegas, Nevada. And I've been working on actually fixing bugs in both the reference module and the display suite module. Hopefully get those closer to stable. So yeah. And Sarvasri?
Yeah, I'm Sarvasri, and I'm in Walnut Cove, North Carolina. And I'm mobile right now, so I'm not using any video, and I'm just kind of fly on the wall here. And I'm interested in new users and what will make the design better for new users.
Okay, well, that's everybody. I posted an agenda. I don't have anything specific on it today. Let's look at it. Yeah, the agenda is very empty, so let's just sort of open the floor. We right before the meeting, we were talking about in the spirit of planning for the next release, we could talk about the idea, which is all it is at this stage, of adding a new theme to Backdrop, a new core theme. But I think before we do that, let's see if we have some other smaller issues that we could get out of the way, and then we could switch over and maybe talk about that one, because I think that's a big one. Are there any other small sort of design UX issues that people would like to talk about today? Robert, I'm looking at you in particular, if you had something ready to go.
Sure, and it's really more of a documentation issue. It's issue number 5232, which is just a question about documentation. For the theme function, the current documentation basically discourages using the theme function directly and says instead we should create an array and use Backdrop render. But there's about 500 calls to theme currently in the code base. And so I'm just wondering if we should bow to current practice and remove that discouragement in the documentation. Or conversely, if it's something we seriously want to try to do, that then suggests a meta project to go make lots and lots of changes throughout core code.
Yeah, so I'm sort of like responsible for quite a few of those 400 plus whatever references. And the reason is because when I started coding, I just sort of like was looking through code to see how things are done. And this is what other people have done before. So I just mostly copied what was done before me. I was not aware of this sort of like advice against using the theme function directly before you mentioned it, Robert. And I would like to understand the reasoning behind it. So it might be the reason behind it is now outdated. So it might be a known issue and we just simply can remove it. But if there's a valid reason, yeah, we should fix things.
Yeah. And I have no idea. I mean, I kind of stumbled across this when I was looking for the way to theme something and wondered exactly the same thing. It's
I have no objection to talking about this right now. However, Well, okay, it is a theme function. It seems like it might be a better topic for the dev
core.
meeting.
Yeah, the core dev meeting, yeah.
But we could talk. I mean, if people have thoughts or opinions on it now, it's not like we have a full agenda, so people should go ahead. Otherwise, Robert, you might want to bring that up again because there might, Nate or somebody might be more equipped to talk about this who's not here.
I'll do that.
Yeah. It might be a performance issue. If it's a performance issue, then it might be really worth conforming to what the advice says. Yeah. What I've done while we were discussing that is I went to the issue queue and filtered it because we have a specific label for design related issues, and there's like 85 of them currently open in the queue. We can grab and discuss any of those if we feel that we don't have anything else to discuss.
Well, we could. I mean, we do have the theme thing. We have, so 2 weeks ago, we talked about this front page issue, and I don't think we need to talk about that again so soon because, there hasn't been any progress since that meeting.
Maybe
is there anything else though that's sort of hung up people have been working on recently? I'd prefer to start there than just sort of random issues, but if we don't have any, we could just pick something out.
there were quite a few that I worked on and reviewed recently, and this is not just a design meeting; it's a UX meeting as well. So
Right.
the 85 issues that I mentioned are just the ones tagged with design. We
Right.
don't have a label; we just have a UX brackety thing for the title for UX, and there's, I guess, I'm imagining hundreds of issues that we can discuss related to UX. May I suggest, because it does seem that the theme sort of like discussion might take a while, so maybe we can start with that and then see, because I can't think of any pressing issue with regards to design, and then we'll see how much time we have left, and we bring any of those issues that are in the queue.
Sure. I'll just, I encourage other people to think about this. One of the things I've been trying to do lately for these meetings is just sort of look through the issue and find an issue, a design issue or a UX issue that I care about, and be prepared to talk about it at the meeting. And I just didn't have a chance this week. So I don't have any other than maybe this theme issue. So what is, do you know have you found the issue number for that?
For adding a new core theme,
Yeah.
or for, no, I'll do that just fill the void and then I'll go find it.
Okay. Well, I started to Google it. I might have it here. Yeah, I found it already. It's 5175. So I opened this issue back in late August, and my personal motivation, although there are other good arguments, was just sort of ongoing frustration that we can't come up with any kind of consensus on how to fix CSS problems in Basis. And I feel like Basis is flawed. And one alternative would be to just propose a new theme where we either fix a lot of these problems in addition to maybe giving it a new style, but also possibly it might be easier to build something into a new theme. I'm not quite sure what that would be. Some ideas about how to keep it up to date. Anyways, there are other good reasons to enter a new theme. Just because, first of all, the Basis is 5-6 years old now. It's been there since the release of Backdrop, right? And part of, I think any sort of big visual change to Backdrop would be a good sort of move to just sort of show progress and show that Backdrop is moving along. So having it look different now than it did 5 years ago, especially because we're not going to have a new major release for another 4 years or 3 years, really another 4 years, I think is what our commitment is, 2025, right?
Yes.
So, we're kind of right in the middle between the launch of Backdrop and the earliest date when we're going to have. So it seems like if we were going to introduce a new core theme, now might be a good time. What do other people think of this?
I would like to, first, because you said that Basis is flawed, that might hurt the feelings of the creators of the theme. Of course it's flawed. I would like to correct certain things that you just said, or sort of like clarify. First of all, when Basis was created, of course, there were many things that could have been opinionated about it. or there would be things that we didn't anticipate to be added in core, so to make basis account for these, right? So the reason is not that we cannot fix basis. The problem is not that we cannot fix basis. It's that we cannot find a suitable way to fix basis in a way that is backwards compatible. Just to
Yes.
clarify things. So that's the issue there. And as Tim mentioned, there's quite often mentioned in the Zulip chat that the basis theme is outdated, as you mentioned. And I find it like a good starter thing, but I agree that people that work more with building sites may find it, or they might be bored of it, I guess. They're looking for something new. What I would like to say to that, and then I'll pass it to someone else, is that it might be worth, if we decide to go ahead and do that, to actually look at the themes that are popular for D7 right now and see if we can either port something that looks like it, unless that's not, like, I know that moving from D7 to Backdrop means that you're going to have to adjust your theme because you have to account for layouts. But yeah, maybe if people are sentimentally attached to the theme that they're using for some reason in D7, maybe it's worth, and if that's popular, maybe it's worth considering it. So yeah, anyone else?
So looking at the comments, one of the points against doing it was that if we add a bunch of new themes over time, we'll stuff the theme directory. But it seems like adding a new theme every 4 or 5 years, that rate of stuffing is pretty low. I mean, lots of other things are going to happen over the time scale of, in 10 years, we might have 2 or 3 new themes total. That seems like an acceptable increase.
Sorry, I'll just
What is,
take the opportunity to just mention one more thing. I mentioned it offline before, but it's worth mentioning. We have a meta issue, which is 3193, which is about promoting certain projects, contrib projects from the project browser. So if the addition of the new theme in core is sort of like pushed back because of overhead, we could consider doing that, like porting or helping make it sort of like an official, semi-official sort of like initiative, start things in contrib, and then request that this theme is promoted in the project browser. So that could be a way forward without having to add it in core, right? So yeah, Savasri, you wanted to say something? Go ahead, please. Yeah.
yeah, I was wondering, what is the most up-to-date usable theme that would be used in place of basis now as an option? If basis is going to be going away before too long, then what would be a good choice?
Yeah, so I don't have an answer.
Yeah, I don't either. We could look up like what the most popular theme for usage is, but I'm not even sure that that would help us much. I don't think the numbers are very high on any theme. And we don't have usage stats by type, so I just have to. I'm sort of scrolling through the projects to look for the first theme that I recognize.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people do custom themes. I don't know that there's one theme in our current setup. I mean, I think we would more likely port something from Backdrop or start fresh, or port something from Drupal if we did this.
And one thing to also mention is that I have a feeling that most of the most popular themes in D7 are starter kit themes, which are not. I'm not sure if we're looking for something like that, like Zen or Omega, which are basically.
I think all the top 10 are base themes.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if we should do that, which means that it's because these themes are mostly, non-opinionated, and they're. Let me just put my thoughts together. So we are looking like the same way that the same reasons that led to adding bases to core should apply here, I think. And the most important of these were that we wanted, once the installation finishes, to have the users have the feeling that they see something of semi-complete site or something that they can start working with. And these base starter themes in D7, they're the opposite of that. They're just blank. So maybe we should look at the most popular theme in D7 that is not a starter theme. Yeah, that was my point.
Well,
It seems, well,
Go ahead.
it seems that since the layout and design is separated from the graphical aspect of the theme, that upgrading from one theme to another is much more straightforward in backdrop. Am I right? Doesn't really matter. It's just trying to give you different colors and different options for color. Am I right?
Yeah,
sure.
that's right.
Well, I mean, I think it's possible to do something in between. The other question we would have to answer is if we added a new theme, would we want to make it the default theme? So if we added we could add a starter theme to core. I'm not suggesting that, but I'm saying we could if we left basis as the default theme and then had a starter core. I don't know that we need to do a starter theme. I think anybody that needs a starter theme can just as easily get it from Contrib. I think the audience we're playing to with core themes are beginner users who aren't looking for starter themes. So I would be in favor of doing something that looks good, and I would probably be in favor of making it the new default theme, just as an opportunity to sort of change the way backdrop looks out of the box.
So I'm at the Drupal listing of themes,
Mm-hmm.
and I sorted it by popularity. The
Okay.
first one is Bootstrap, which is basically not a theme. It's sort of like something that allows you to use the Bootstrap for your themes. And when I say theme, I mean theme according to what I mentioned before, like something that could look ready.
Yeah.
And then the second most popular is Adminimal, which I sort of like mentioned offline. So that's an admin theme. And what I was mentioning offline was that maybe we should look into revamping 7 as well. But then you have Zen, Omega, adaptive theme. Yeah, they all seem to be just, as I said, starter themes instead of. There's the two that I don't see as starter themes are Tao, I think, and Corporate Clean. And right after that, it's the Gene admin theme, which is gaining a lot of traction in Drupal 8 and beyond, or Drupal 9. I think it's based on Clara.
Okay.
And again, the Gene theme is an admin theme, from what I see. It's not a.
So the thing about getting a new theme into core is I envision is it a pretty big project. Whether it's porting a theme from Drupal might be a little bit easier in the sense, primarily in that we wouldn't have to engage a designer, right?
Yep.
Somebody could do it that didn't necessarily have design skills, but just had theming skills, or even coding skills, really. But if we created if we wanted a fresh design, then we'd have to also engage a designer, and that's all pretty big. So, I mean, before we get too far into the discussion of whether or not it's a good idea, we should be even thinking about how big of a project is it, and is it possible, do we have the resources, or it seems like it would need somebody to get excited about it that's really going to take it on. And I don't know if anybody, I feel like it's the kind of project I would love to do, but I don't think it's at the top of my list. That's the problem.
Same. I would love to help with it, not help with it. But yeah, I seem to be drawn to usability and UX issues in core, and that's where I spend most of my time. the other thing is, yeah. For example, I do find, like in the top 20, I guess here, I do find other things like Danland, which seems to be very popular. So there are some themes that are non-starter, non-admin themes that we could pick, which seem to be popular. Like, and I'll actually check usage stats for those themes just so we have a rough idea. So yeah, when I mentioned Danlad, that's 7,500 users. So it's not one of the hundreds of thousands of sites. It's a few thousand sites.
Yeah. So it looks like in terms of backdrop, the most popular one I'm seeing looking at the list is Corporate Kiss, which is, I think it has the advantage of being a somewhat finished theme that's kind of flexible and looks good. But the stats are 108 sites using it. So
Actually,
that's
Tim, Bootstrap Lite is at 174.
oh, okay.
So
Which actually makes sense. I didn't see that, but you're right. And Bootstrap Lite is really, well, it can be used out of the box. It's not ugly, but it's kind of more intended as a starter theme, I think.
But yeah, and I suspect those numbers are skewed by just the number of people migrating from a Drupal Bootstrap site and saying, this is the closest thing, so it's the least pain.
Yeah. Can I because while we're talking, I'm just looking at usage stats. So you mentioned about 100 sites using that most popular theme for Backdrop out of 2,000 sites that we have. And then if I'm not mistaken, I think the Drupal 7 usage is like 500,000 or a bit, I don't know, 600,000. And then the most popular non-admin themes are in the less than 10,000, like 9,500 or 7,500. So I think that it's safe to conclude that people are not using the default themes,
Right.
or it seems like it. Yeah.
Well, no, I would say the opposite, that it could mean that a lot of people are using the default theme because they're not using contrib themes.
Oh yes, that or sub-theming or because
Or
there's
or
something.
Yeah.
If they sub-theme, does the base theme show up in the stats?
That's what I was about to mention. I think that this
does.
is a discussion that's been going on. Yes, yeah.
It would, but I think my experience is that it seems like most people, from anecdotal evidence only, it seems like I hear a lot of people just sub-theming Basis. So, and Basis doesn't show up as a project in the project stats. So we don't know, but that's something telemetry could help us with.
Yeah, telemetry will help us with that. But on Drupalland, the issue that they have is that disabled themes can be used as base themes.
Oh,
So these will not be reported
okay.
if you don't have the checkbox that says also check for updates for
Right.
disabled projects. So this is something that dilutes the stats. We should keep that in mind.
That's true for us as well? That you can sub-theme a disabled theme? Does anyone?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think there's an issue for us to change that to
So currently the way themes can't create database tables and they can't create config files, so they don't have an installation system.
Okay.
So essentially the enabled and disabled is just, does it show up at the top or on the bottom of that list on the themes page?
I got it. Okay. Well, there doesn't seem to be anybody at this meeting that's opposed to the idea. On the other hand, I think there's a lot of questions that we'd have to answer about it, including who wants to work on it. But I want to say, as the person who's whined the most, and I want to be clear, when I say I complain about Basis a lot, that's not a dig on Basis. I think Basis is a great theme. That's not, any theme is going to have problems. You are exactly on the point, Gregory, that the problem with Basis isn't really Basis. It's that we don't have a way to update it without breaking existing sites. Otherwise, Basis would be, I'd be happy to improve Basis if we could. And frankly, I don't think Basis looks bad or that dated myself. When I do think we benefit from a fresh look, just because it's new, not because Basis is bad.
yeah.
But
I'm really,
but my last point, and then I'll let you go, is that your idea also about just I would be content with like a promoted theme. Like even if it wasn't in core, if we picked one that we said that we really encourage people to use as a viable alternative, to me, that would also be a good solution to our existing problem. What I want to do is make it really easy for somebody to get to a good, up-to-date theme where we've been able to fix a lot of these problems and make that as easy as possible. And right now, I don't know that we have a good, solid candidate. So go ahead. I'll shut up.
No, don't. One thing that I wanted to mention is that most of the themes that I find appealing personally are D8 and above. So trying to port these, like Olivera, for example, I really like it. And it's not that I like it visually or the style of it. I know that there's been a lot of work, a lot of thought behind it, a lot of usability tests and user studies that have led there. And this is work that we can leverage. The problem is that everything has been built in Twig, and it will be a lot of work, or I'm imagining it will be quite some work to sort of like port. All the D7 themes, at least the ones that I skimmed through now in the list, they seem a bit dated and a bit, I don't know, decayed. Their style seems like a decade old or something. Yeah.
I get the issue with Twig, but I would think that porting a Drupal 8 theme would be a lot easier than porting a Drupal 8 module.
Yeah.
Just because,
Yes.
yeah, porting, the Twig files aren't that different from, I feel like I have the skills where it would maybe take a fair amount of work, but I would at least understand Twig and be able to translate those in a better way than, like trying to translate a module, which,
yeah. I could even imagine that someone like Dr. Ulmut might build or a DAT coder to convert things to PHP templates. So
Couldn't you write a Twig extension that reads Twig files in and writes them out as PHP template files rather than as straight HTML?
Well, Twig basically does that. So Drush cast rebuild in Drupal 8, what it does, like if you go and delete from the files folder the CSS, JS, and PHP folders, what that does, it rebuilds them.
Right.
So basically, maybe we should look at the output of the PHP folder and the CSS folder and JS folder and just, I don't know, maybe Drupal does that for us already. Yeah, just a thought. I mean, maybe that's a generalization, what I just said, but that's what happened.
I think it would work technically, but those files are not what I would consider readable.
Oh, fair enough. Yes, it might be minimized. Yeah, you're right.
Also, every single identifier is a 64 character randomly generated identifier.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Well, probably the best we could do is come to some sort of agreement that it would be a good idea to add a new core theme. And then the next step would be to just sort of promote that and see if we could get somebody on board. I mean, this might be the kind of thing that we could create an initiative for, but still one of the requirements for initiative is somebody that's willing to lead it. So
one of the things that I would like to discuss and get opinions is the hybrid idea. So this was sort of mentioned as a solution to the problem, is that we cannot touch basis as it is, but what if we sort of like created something that is basis but not basis? I don't know, basis 2 or next. So we hide basis, we still leave it there for all sites, and if they are sub-theming it, it's still going to be there. It's not going to break the sites, but we can start making breaking changes in the basis next, or whatever we call it.
I don't remember talking about this idea before.
I think it was mentioned. We've done something similar with layouts. So let me rephrase, layout templates.
Okay.
So we at the moment have some very early versions of layout templates that are just hidden in order to not break very early versions of backdrop sites. So maybe that could be a solution as well to the problem.
Well, sure. Sort of building off that and making the idea one. If we wanted to, we could add a new version of Basis to core and hide the old version, like sort of like what you're talking about. and that would dramatically reduce the work involved. Then we could fix all the problems in the new version.
But
And what?
but existing sites would not benefit from any
No,
fixes that could be.
Well, yeah, but that's the same with your hybrid. I'm sort of building off your hybrid idea.
Yeah.
I mean, well, there isn't any scenario that, I mean, the whole existing sites benefiting from these fixes is sort of been written off the table for this discussion, right? If we could do that, then we wouldn't be having this discussion, right? We're kind of saying that we don't know any way to improve basis and not break old sites, but also to any extent to give them the benefits. So yeah, again, I understand that's a limitation, but I don't.
Yeah.
That's sort of been an accepted limitation in my view. Unless,
Yeah, so-
I mean, we could revisit the idea of how do we, there are some workable ideas about fixing basis in a backward compatible way. The problem isn't that there isn't a solution. The problem is we can't unify on any solution.
So the other thing that is a hybrid of the hybrid, I should say, is we make the new theme be a sub theme of basis. We add any breaking changes to the sub theme and any backwards compatible changes to the base theme.
Sure.
Basically.
Yes.
I like that.
Well, I do.
There's also-
Except, go ahead.
There is a contrib version of basis that is ostensible, that is documented to say it's used to create experimental features, may add features.
Yeah.
Does that play a role in this kind of big picture?
Yeah.
I think it could. I think that was the idea when they first created that contrib theme. But I think if you look at it, it hasn't been updated since it was created. So I don't know that it was ever used for that, but it could be.
Yeah. And the other thing is that this is a namespacing issue, or I wouldn't say an issue, or it's based on namespacing. So basically, if you install that theme, because its name is basis, it will completely override, as in take precedence over the core theme. So, because if you add a custom or contrib theme or module or layout that has the same name as the core ones, the contrib and the custom ones take precedence.
Okay.
Yeah, although its machine name is basis_contrib.
Oh, fair enough. So yeah, I forgot about that. So yes, yeah, that what I just said doesn't apply then. Yeah, cool.
Certainly, we could use, as we've said, a contrib theme, and it could be the basis contrib theme to fix these problems. But again, that doesn't really address the question of having these things fixed in core. Now we could do that, and we could promote that, or we could go, Gregory, your idea I'm still thinking about, of some kind of hybrid where we're kind of replacing the core theme but keeping the old one just hidden. Isn't something I thought about, and that could either be kind of a sub theme, or it could be just a fork in a sense of basis, right, where we just start over with basis.
Yeah, and we can make it a task. We can make it a task for 2.0 if we do not complete if we don't build any completely new theme, to basically ditch the old basis theme, replace it with the full-fledged overwritten, whatever we call the new version of it.
Joseph, would that, I'd like your opinion, would that work to have just a sub theme of basis, and then in a sense, but hide the old basis? So we were using that kind of as the starter.
So there's this file in basis called skin.css that is essentially all of the components folder in one file. And it overrides the component folder. And if you overwrite the skin.css file, and then it completely wipes everything out. And I think that because essentially all the styles are duplicated like this, I think it would be weird to do that in a safe way.
Okay.
I don't know.
What you just said.
I'm not really
rings
I'm not
bells.
I'm not really an expert with CSS or front end stuff. I kind of like just make do most of the time.
We could ask what Wes thinks about it, because basically
Sure. What,
he might not be around, but he's always like each time that we ping him, he's very
Yeah.
responsive.
Mhm. I think that because of the way it's laid out, it would be hard to sub-theme in a way that would be flexible enough for other people to then continue to sub-theme that.
okay. Well, yeah. Okay. I have to think more about it. There seems like there might, what about this idea, if we just replaced, if we had a new core theme and hid basis so that people would be able to continue to use it, but not select it. They wouldn't obviously be able to select it. Is that practical? I don't know what, and I'm not sure if that's a real advantage to just, if we're going to add a new theme anyways, I don't know if hiding the old basis is necessary. Just
I
make
think
it
if
not the default.
Just, why not make the new theme the default for new
Right.
installations?
Yeah. That's where I'm thinking too. Yeah.
Yeah, I would think that would be the easiest.
Yeah. I don't know the benefit of actually hiding it. There's no reason not to have it there. The goal would be just to get a new, but it's still, some interesting thoughts came up. So, well, we're running out of time. I think we should go ahead and wrap
Sure.
up. Actually, what I would like to do is, this would be also a great Backdrop Live topic.
Yeah.
And it might be something we could coax Wes into participating. In fact, we could tell him, ask him when his available time slot is, and then schedule it when he's available.
Did we actually get Wes's opinion on the problem that we are having now? Because I don't remember the backwards compatible way of fixing things. That's what I'm talking
I
about.
don't think that he has chimed in on that discussion at all.
So that would be a great opportunity to get him and discuss this live.
Right. I could see a topic on the schedule that was something like the future of Basis or new contrib theme.
Yeah.
So it kind of leaves both of those options open. Like either how do we figure out a way forward with Drupal or with Basis, or how do we come up with an alternative as a topic, and then let the discussion go whichever way it goes.
Cool.
So, does anybody want to host that discussion? All you have to do is facilitate. Okay. I don't want, I could put about 10 items on the schedule to facilitate, but I don't want to do that. So I'll think about it though. This might be an important enough one. Okay, let's go ahead and end this meeting. And we have a big dev meeting